Hello, and welcome to episode 30 of Summer Knits. Welcome back to Summer Knits. This is a podcast where I primarily share my knitting journey, everything that I am working on, that I want to work on, a little bit of yarny acquisitions, and occasionally some book or tea chatter. Thank you so much for joining me. If you find that you enjoy the content, please give the video a thumbs up or consider subscribing, or both. The thumbs up really helps the algorithm a lot more than you know, and the visibility as far as new viewers being able to find the podcast. So with that admin out of the way, let's hop straight into, I would say finished objects normally, but I actually haven't finished anything this time. So it's going to be straight into works in progress, but I have a number of things that are like so close to being done. I didn't want to wait until next week to record because some of those objects you haven't even seen as works in progress, or at least one. But everything is like this far from being done. So it's going to be probably a briefer episode than normal, but I would like to start with the progress on my Love Note. And if you were here last time, I cast on for the Love Note Love KAL with Professor Pearl. It's being hosted on her channel. And if you're not familiar with Professor Pearl, I love her podcasts, and I definitely recommend checking her out. But I cast on October 1st, which was cast on day, and like rocketed through the main portion of the sweater and then set it aside to start working on a test knit. So what I have now is a bit more progress on that because my test knit got to the point where it wasn't easy to just carry around and work on the go. So without further ado, I know there's a lot of ends here, so let me try and untangle it. I did not prepare the sweater as well as I probably could have for showing. So I went with a short sleeve Love Note, and as you can see before blocking it, the lace as it's all scrunched up is kind of funky looking, but I promise you it blocks out beautifully. But I went for a short sleeve. It looks like a cap sleeve here. It's not, I promise. I've tried it on and I know how this yarn's going to block out. And then I've made a lot of progress on the body. You see multiple strands coming from it because I am doing helical knitting because it is a hand-dyed yarn. And I'm not sure how well it'll show on screen. Let me see if I can get it to focus on it. The yarn has variation in it. So you can see there's lighter parts and slightly darker parts. And from a distance, it looks like a solid light pink. But up close, you can definitely see the variation. So just in case there were slight differences in the hand-dyed skeins, because that happens, I am doing helical knitting on the body. So I did all of the lace work with one skein, put the sleeves on with another, and alternating for the body. So I have not measured the progress on the body yet. I'm probably aiming for a finished underarm to hem length of between 11 and 13 total inches. So I'll probably need to measure it fairly soon. I have a lot more yarn left than I thought, and I have two of these, and could have gone longer on the sleeves. But I talked about before how I live in a climate where it's not super cold for very long. And I'm wearing a sweatshirt right now, but by mid-afternoon, I won't be able to be wearing a sweatshirt because our high today is like 88 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's October 21st. So it's going to be warm this afternoon. So a short sleeve sweater like this that I can layer a jacket over to go to work is going to get a lot more wear than a long sleeve. So I am very pleased with this. The yarn is, I don't know, can you see how shiny that is? This is a merino silk blend by Red Door Fibers, and I believe they're located in Wichita, Kansas. It is 30% silk and 70% merino, and it's just the softest, squishiest, most luxurious feeling. It's just wonderful. I've really enjoyed working with this yarn. It's blowing out on screen right now. It's not as pale, not quite as pale as it's appearing. I think it might be the contrast with my black sweatshirt. that's causing that. But it's just gorgeous. It's so soft. It's, I think, going to be lovely to wear, and I'll get a lot of use from it all seasons. So I'm really excited to be almost to the ribbing and to be able to finish this up and enter my finished object into the knit-along. You can post, if you're going to do the knit-along, you can post with the hashtag on Instagram, and then there is also a chatter thread on Ravelry if Ravelry is accessible to you. So the Love Note by Tin Can Knits for the Love Note Love Knit-Along with Professor Pearl. My next work in progress, you have also seen before a few times now, I think, but I would like to show a little bit of progress on my pre-knit for the Saglan by AilbÍona McLochlainn. And it's not a lot. As you might recall, I had the body totally done, and I've made a little bit of sleeve progress. The main problem is that when I'm home and able to focus, I need to work on my test knit. But when I'm out and about and could do something easy like a sleeve, it's kind of hard to walk around and knit with the Nutiden because it comes apart so easily. As you can see right now, it's not even attached. I must have pulled it apart in pulling the sweater out of the bag. But my Saglin is being knit up in this gray Nutiden blend. It's a blend of cream and gray that leans kind of a medium tone of gray, but I'm holding it with this cream suri alpaca. And so these two together, and the light is blowing them out a little bit, but these two together are making just this gorgeous marl, which I know I've shown before, but I think it's going to be my perfect neutral sweater. Like, cozy, lightweight, throw on. I'm so excited about this. But as I was working on the sleeve the other day and trying to determine how long I wanted them, I thought, okay, I should go through and pick up and do the collar so that when I try on the sweater, it's actually hanging correctly and I can find the right length, because I would like the end of the sleeves to hit like mid-hand in just kind of this oversized cozy vibe. So I don't want them all the way to my fingertips because I think I'd find that super annoying, but I also don't want, I do a lot of bracelet length sleeves so they won't get in my way when I'm typing or washing or anything else. But I'm really thinking mid-hand, and I'm pretty sure the sleeve has a deep rib on it, so I'll be able to push it up and it should stay out of my way fairly easily. So I think that I am going to actually put the sleeve on hold and pick up and knit the collar. I'm opting for the crew neck, not the turtleneck. I think that neck style actually has different terms, different places, because things I would call a turtleneck, I've seen other podcasters calling a polo neck. And in the US, or at least in Oklahoma, when somebody talks about a polo, it's like a folded collar shirt with like 3 buttons. And then a tall neck is like a turtleneck. So I'm interested, what do you call those two neck styles? What do you call the collar with the 3 buttons? And then what do you call a taller folded down neck? So just, yeah, totally off the subject, just kind of curious. But regardless, I'm doing the crew neck because I think that the taller neck would be much too hot here. So I'm still not sure of the release date. I've been watching her page to see if she posts. I encourage you to keep an eye on it too, because I really like the construction. I love the fit of this sweater. And I've enjoyed this so much that I think I mentioned in my last episode that I really want to knit my husband one with the yellow Nutiden that I just can't seem to make myself love for anything for me, but I think would look great on him, held with a moodier mohair. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on the next Fiber for the People shop update, because she's got a browns, golds, and greens mohair that's going to be in that next shop update that I think it was called Cider. But I think it could be really good with that Nutiden. I had been planning to order actually one of her darker ones, and then she changed her shop format so that she's only doing shop updates and no longer doing the sweater quantity custom orders, which I totally get for like her business and just keeping herself not overbooked. But if I'm not able to get that sweaters quantity of the cider mohair, then I need another idea, a backup idea for his Saglan. So I've shown that dark yellow Nutiden before, but it's got deeper undertones in it. It's got definitely dark wool that's blended in with the yellow. So if you have like a moody, I was looking for hand dyed for a bit of interest, but I don't want it to be super variegated. I'd rather it be tonal or speckled. I don't want variegated. I hope to not deal with like tons of pooling. I will alternate skeins if needed, but definitely would prefer tonal or speckled, but something that will bring out the deeper side, whether it's golds and browns or golds, browns, and greens. There is just that hint of greenishness to that yellow Nutiden. So anyway, if you have any ideas, please leave them in the comments or message me on Instagram. I would love to have a backup plan, because I'd like to get that sweater started fairly early. I'm not planning on it being a Christmas gift. I'm not going to put that kind of pressure on myself, because I'm only going to knit it when he's not home, and that could be difficult. So I do want to get it started early, though, because I think it could be cool if it was a Valentine's gift, because that hits during an actual cold time for us. I mean, Christmas would too. But anyway, I think it would be cool to get it done by Valentine's Day, because it would be the first sweater I ever knit him. And we've been married 12 years and together for 14. So yeah, it's been a long time coming. I should make him a sweater. And I actually have a list of sweaters I want to make him. I'd love to make him the single malt, but I wasn't sure about doing it with the Nutiden, and I thought the Saglan might be a nice basic. So I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Yeah, that's about it. That's where I am with my Saglan, but I really, really want the finished object. So my goal, as soon as I finish the test knit that I'm going to show next, is to get back to this and finish the sleeves. Because my Love Note is great on the go knitting right now, because I'm just at stockinette in the round. So I'm saving that for when I'm out and about. So I feel like my at-home knitting can totally be to finish this. Last, but certainly not least for my works in progress, and one I'm very, very excited about, is my test knit for the Chantilly Vest. And now you can see I have the whole body done, and it's beautiful, and I am working on the collar. So I've picked up for the collar and started that. The reason that this is not on the go knitting right now is that I am almost to the point, I believe, of adding the short row shaping that keeps the collar higher in the back and makes it sit just right. I am loving this. The body of this just flew. I loved doing the Chantilly cardigan. It was very enjoyable to knit. But because this gets joined in the round instead of knit flat like the cardigan, this vest just knits itself. It flies right off the needles. The construction starts the same in the way you do the back and the front sections to create the V-neck, but then you join the body in the round and you just zoom through it, because the body is done holding 2 strands of a fingering weight yarn and a strand of mohair together. And I have done mine in woolly knit British wool cone in the color Corvette Blue. And it's not showing up quite as bright on screen, which is funny because the other colors were blowing out. Maybe. Anyway, Corvette Blue is a bright blue. And it's so pretty, but then paired with, where did you go, mohair? I'm down to such a tiny ball of this mohair. I might need to grab another ball. But I'm only on my second ball of mohair, I want to say, for this project. But anyway, I'm holding it with the Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in navy, which is showing up super dark on screen. But I promise you, this is a very true navy in person. Maybe we can get it to, yeah, it's a bit better. It's a true navy. And pairing them together, the Corvette Blue and the navy, has given me this dark blue where you see flecks of deeper and flecks of brighter. And I'm really enjoying it. The British wool cone, it feels pretty stiff when you first get it in the cone, but it softens up really beautifully in blocking. Now, for my wussy skin, it's not necessarily next to skin soft for all the time. When it's colder, I seem to be less sensitive to the prickle factor than when it's hot. And I think I've heard other people say that. So I don't know if it's just how your skin reacts to things or like whether or not you're sweating or whatever. But in the cold, it does not bother me. If it's too hot outside, then it can bother me. But since this is a vest, it's generally worn over a shirt all the time anyway. So I'm not worried about that at all. And if you've been around a while, you might remember that last January I did a no frills sweater in a woolly knit British wool cone and held it with a suri alpaca. And that one I'm able to wear next to skin when it's cold enough to wear a sweater that heavy, which it is not always here. But I know I keep saying it's not always cold enough for a full sweater here. That is why I'm so excited about this vest. I did not know until the Chantilly vest came out that a knit vest was what I needed in my life really badly. And now I'm looking at all these knit vests. And Laura of Penrose Knits, who designed the Chantilly cardigan and vest, recently did the holiday slipover by Petite Knit, which I'd never really been drawn to before, but in looking at it the way she did it and closer examination, I'm like, that could be really fun. So that's on my maybe list because I hear it knits up super quickly. So that's a possibility, but I've actually ordered like a dress skirt, like a fancy skirt to go with this vest to see about wearing it to like upcoming holiday events. So I ordered a silver tulle skirt, and I think with the ruffled collar and the tulle skirt, if I find just the right shirt to wear under this vest, that it could be really cool. So I'll let you know how that works out. Hopefully the skirt fits when it gets here. But I'm very excited about this. I can't wait to show it to you. It's going to be finished like by the end of this week. The deadline is, I believe, Halloween, October 31st. But I think it'll be done way before that. I don't think the collar on the cardigan took me more than 2 or 3 days. And that's just because I generally only knit after the kids have gone to bed at night as far as my focus on stuff knitting. And with the weekend coming up, hopefully I'll get a little bit of time. We've got a lot of activities, but hopefully I'll get a little bit of time to myself to work on it. So I do not remember what Laura said the release date was for this vest, but keep an eye out for that, or check out her channel, which is her podcast is The Knitting Pickle, and it's Laura of Penrose Knits, Chantilly Vest. I do not have a lot in the way of acquisitions this time. In fact, I think I only have one. So I want to share that real quick. If you are not into acquisitions and you are only here for the works in progress, thank you so much for joining me. And After I get through acquisitions, I may chat for just a second about life and books, but not a whole lot new since the last time we talked. So, I received in the mail an order I placed with knit.co.uk. That's their website. I believe their name is just Knit UK. I don't know. Anyway, they provided a yarn discount for the Chantilly vest. But because of timing and the postal strikes in the UK and just how long it takes things to get across the pond, the yarn got here late enough that I had gotten really nervous about waiting to start the vest. So I had started it in the Corvette Blue and the navy, which was a definite choice in what I was looking at anyway, and I'm going to love the Chantilly in that navy because I feel like navy is a great color for me. As you can see in black, I look very pale, but navy I think does a lot more for my skin tone. But one of the options that I had explored for the Chantilly vest, because I think it would be beautiful, is this super pale pink. So I did the Chantilly cardigan in the Filcolana Arietta, held with the Filcolana Tilia. And I had hoped for a slightly pinker pink, more like the Arietta. You can see that the Tilia is a bit more dull, I would say, than the Arietta. I'd have preferred that they be closer together and more like this one than this one. And because of that, just in case, because I wasn't certain, I had actually ordered another color of Tilia, but it's, as you can see, a lot darker and more purpley than the ballet pink. And while I think both would be gorgeous together, so you could go really light, or you could go a whole lot pinker, and I think both would be lovely. I think ultimately I would do these two, and I haven't decided yet, but because of how quick that knits up, like this could be a second Chantilly vest, or my daughter has been asking me for a ballet wrap cardigan for a couple of years now, and I need to get on that. And she's taking dance at a place where they have to wear black and pink. So it could be a gorgeous ballet wrap cardigan for her for Christmas if I get off my butt and do it. And because the Arietta is super wash, I mean, it's not necessarily easier care because it would still have mohair in it, but I just think it'd be really pretty. So that's a thought. And then that extra mohair, because I don't have ready access to a ton of colors of mohair, especially not really nice soft mohair around here. One of my local yarn stores usually only has a couple of kinds of mohair, and they aren't necessarily the softest. I don't love them. And the other local yarn store very, very rarely carries mohair because the owner's allergic and they just don't. I hear they have some right now that is lovely, and I haven't been in. And but anyway, I got that extra mohair, right? Well, if you remember the Nutiden that I got, I think that I could put them together. And I know they look very different here, but when you can see, and the color's blowing out again, the undertones in this Nutiden, and you compare it with this pink, it's going to bring out the pinkier undertones in the Nutiden. And I actually think these will pair really well together. And I haven't decided what to do with it yet, but I can really picture it as a tulip sweater, which I think is by Melody Hoffman. I just think it would be gorgeous. And I have plenty of this. I think I have 600 grams, which I think is more than enough to make any size that would fit me of that sweater. And I don't remember how many. I think I got 4 balls of this one. I wasn't sure exactly how much mohair I was going to need because originally on the Chantilly vest, I hadn't decided whether I was going to do the ruffle in the mohair like I did on the cardigan or in the fingering weight like it calls for in the pattern. And I actually think in the blue that I've decided to do the ruffle in just the fingering weight rather than the mohair. So it's actually going to be a little bit lighter and brighter than the rest of the vest. And instead of doing it in just the mohair, which would make it darker than the rest of the vest and maybe not stand out as much. So I think doing it with just the fingering weight will make the ruffle stand out a bit more than if I did it with just the mohair. Whereas on the cardigan in the yellow, I feel like the ruffle being in the mohair gives it a softness and a delicacy that I really enjoyed there. I feel like doing just the fingering weight is going to give the ruffle a little bit more structure and stand out a little better on my choice of color in the vest. So anyway, so I have these lovely mohairs. I have all the Arvetta, which there's a number of skeins that I ordered for the vest, and the mohair to go with it that could be another vest, could be a ballet wrap cardigan. It could be, because I've used so much less yarn than I thought I would on the vest, that I actually have enough of this to do both, because the wrap cardigan for my daughter, I mean, she's only 10, so I don't think it's going to take all of this, and I don't think the vest would either. And also, I could hold it double with some hand-dyed I have that is like a cream and pink and very subtle, and I think that could be cool too. So lots of options. But that's it for acquisitions. I felt like I was very restrained, and I did a good job of not over shopping. I did buy this sweatshirt, and I'd have to look up where I bought it from, and I can, if it's still active, put the link below. But other than that, I've been really good about not shopping. I'd like to know if you've been shopping or if you have also been refraining from shopping. I can totally hear my dog snoring behind me, so hopefully you can't. But if you can, I apologize for my little old man dog that feels the need to sleep right next to me all the time. He's a 14-year-old pug chihuahua, and he is set in his ways, and he snores. That's it for the yarn chat. So if you're not here for life chat, thank you for coming. So just real quick, my cup was actually made by a friend of ours, and it's signed on the bottom. I actually just checked. And it was made by my friend Molly, and dated 3/18. So it was made in 2018. She and her husband live in Missouri and have Wu Wei pottery, and I'll put the link below. And they make some gorgeous things. We actually own a pottery. Actually, that lantern back there is by them, and the urn in the middle is by them. And we have a couple of ceramic rockets that they've made, which are really cool. They're multiple pieces and they stack, but we leave them on display. Like, we don't have people mess with them. But just really cool stuff, and I love their pottery. So, life chat. Things have been busy, and I mean busy in a good way. You know, it's fall baseball season for the little one, and all the normal after-school activities, but also like a lot of little extras thrown in there. So we have a camp out this evening. I don't know when I'll get this posted, but as of today recording, we have a camp out this evening, and there's like all the Halloween events in town, and a lot of them are overlapping, and it's trying to narrow it down and do just certain ones. And so it can feel a bit overwhelming, but my kids have their costumes and they're super excited. And I know Halloween isn't as big a deal in other parts of the world, but it is a big, big deal here, and everybody has events, and there's a parade tomorrow that we may or may not make it to and everything. But they get more than one opportunity to wear the costume, and so that's fun. And then also I'm planning my oldest party for her grade at school because they'll have a big Halloween party. And it's just all the things all at once. So I feel like my knitting time has kind of been cut down. I know I've still made progress on things, but you can see that 2 weeks, has it been 2 weeks? Probably 2 weeks worth of progress hasn't been as much as it sometimes is. And I'm not always the fastest knitter, but, there's just been so much going on that I haven't had quite as much time most days as I'd like to. Like I just collapsed last night instead of knitting at all. I put the kids to bed and then I was just out like a light. So it happens occasionally and you have to catch up on your sleep and stuff, but it can be frustrating when you're like so close to finishing and you just want that finished object like so badly. But in the meantime, when I do have knitting time or if I'm at the gym solo or when I'm driving around, I have gone through a few books, mostly audiobooks, and I have to look at my list or I'll forget. But I am trying to remember what I talked about last. I listened to Shaman's Crossing, but I haven't finished it. And I will try and go back to it and finish it, but it just didn't catch my attention. And I might have mentioned that last time. I listened to Neon Gods by Katie Robert, and that is a spicy, spicy book. I hadn't actually been prepared for it to be as spicy as it was, but it was still really good, and I'd like to listen to the sequel. I am currently in the middle of The Fires of Heaven by Robert Jordan, which is one of the books in the Wheel of Time series. I forget which number it is, but I'm only like 6 hours into it, and it's like a 35-hour book, so this is going to take a hot minute. I did also get through Dancing at Midnight by Julia Quinn, which was fun and light. I mean, her books, they're like Regency romance novels. They're nothing crazy or out there, and they're usually a very quick listen. So that was a good one. And then I put some holds down. The first one was a recommendation by my mother, and it's The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And it's like, you know how when you hear about something that you've never heard about before, then all of a sudden you start seeing it like everywhere? So after I had put it on my hold shelf, then I saw other people on Instagram talking about it. So I'm kind of excited about that one. I had never heard of it before, but it was on my mom's list to either read or listen to. So now it's on my list to read or listen to. I put The Assassin's Apprentice on hold, but then like delayed my hold because that Robert Jordan book came up and they're so long that I was afraid I wouldn't be able to get to Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb before my time ran out, because you only get 14 days on the library app. And I love using my library app, my local library app, because it's free. It's a library. I pay taxes to support the library, and so I love that I can utilize the app and just have audiobooks with me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's like the best ever. And I know a lot of people love Audible and stuff, but the way I go through audiobooks like water, I think I would go broke trying to buy everything I wanted to listen to on Audible. So I love the library app. My library uses Libby, and I think it's great. But that is where I am for reading and listening to things. I am always looking for more things to put on my list. So I think I tagged a couple of other things, but now I don't remember what they were. And I'd have to figure out how to find the tags again in the app because I just learned to use those. But anyway, I'd love to hear what you're reading and what you're loving right now, because since I do tend to go through them so quickly, I like to have a backup like list of things because there's nothing I hate more than like finishing a book and having no idea what else to get. Because I feel like I just spend forever searching for the perfect book when I'd rather just have a recommendation from somebody and be like, okay, this is the next thing I'm listening to, like just right away. And because I listen at work occasionally if I'm doing a bunch of numerical data entry, because the numbers side of my brain does not overlap with the story side. And having an audiobook on actually will keep me from stopping and distracting myself as often, because if nothing is keeping me distracted, then I will distract myself. So I can get more done at work if I have an audiobook to listen to than if I don't, if I'm doing stuff that's strictly numerical. I'll turn it off if I have to do anything where I have to like read words or write an email or something. But if it's strictly numbers, an audiobook super helps me focus. And I might have mentioned that on my last podcast because it's definitely become more of a thing for me recently that I've realized that it helps so much. So that just adds to how many audiobooks I go through in a month. Some months it's just absolutely crazy, and some months I just don't have enough time. At night, I do tend to watch TV or podcasts, but when I'm on the go, it is always audiobooks all the time. Or when I'm trying to clean the house, focus on chores, those kinds of things, I need that distraction. So I need those stories. And I kind of want to go back and count up the number of books I've read for the whole year, because I know some people have a goal of how many to read, and I think audiobooks totally count. The other thing that I have been up to when I'm just like sitting around is I've actually started tagging things in my 2023 Make 9. And I don't know how I'm going to narrow it down. And as you've seen, if you've been here a while, I don't always stick to my Make 9 super well. I think I have 5 of the 9 done this year. I did cast on one of them recently, but I set it aside to do the 3 main projects that you've been seeing that you saw today. So I'll get back to that Cumulus blouse also as soon as I get past the Chantilly vest, and probably after I finish up the Love Note, because once I get past the yoke of and not even necessarily the yoke, just the shaping of the V-neck for that cumulus. Once it's joined in the round, I think it'll be easy on the go knitting, and it'll be great for taking with me. So it could replace the Love Note for that after the Love Note is done. But maybe that'll knock off one more from that Make 9. But I don't think I'm going to get to the... I always get it wrong. Is it the Even Fall or the Even Tide? I think it's the Even Fall by Andrea Mowry. I don't think I'm going to get to the Bean and Olive sweater that I was going to do for my daughter, because she keeps asking for that ballet wrap sweater. So I think that's more important. And I'm trying to remember. Oh, and I'm definitely not going to finish the Strya cardigan, because I know where I missed an increase in the yoke. And I'm trying to decide if I just make up the increase and keep going, or if I need to pull it back to where the increase was. So I've been like really hesitant to put any time into it. And it's just one of those projects that grows so slowly that I have a hard time focusing on it for very long. You'd think getting to the next stripe and getting to the next stripe would keep me going. But I think right now the main frustration is knowing I missed that increase, and the thought of trying to go back in that half fisherman's rib, because it's pretty early on in the yoke, and I'm trying to decide, because it would sit right in the front, how noticeable it would be. Probably pretty noticeable, right? And so at that point, is it harder to go back in the half fisherman's rib than it is to just start the whole thing over? I don't know. Definitely something that I've been trying to ponder, and I just can't make a decision on that. So that won't be finished either. So that's definitely the Even Fall, the Strya and the bean and olive. So that means I have finished 5. I have number 6 on the needles. I have 3 that I probably won't get done. I do have the yarn for the even fall. So whether I move that to the 2023 Make 9 or whether there's so many other sweaters out there that I now have yarn for and inspiration. Oh, the pink fizz was also, so maybe I only have 4 done and a 5th one on the needles. The pink fizz was on my Make 9 this year. And I bought the yarn for that at a smaller bust size. So what I need to do the math on is, do I have enough to do the size with the right amount of ease that would fit me now? Because I feel like you should totally knit for the body you have now, not the body you think you're going to have in 6 months, but like the body you have now, unless, of course, like you're pregnant or something and you're knitting specifically for postpartum or whatever. But because it never works out right to like buy clothes assuming you're going to be a certain size in a certain amount of time. Like that does not work. So I want to knit a sweater that fits me now, that I'm comfortable in now, that looks good on me now, which may mean I don't have enough yarn for the pink fizz, but I adore that mint green yarn. And so I know I have a sweater's quantity of it. It's just choosing maybe a different sweater that has a slightly different fit that doesn't use quite as much yardage. So I'm undecided on that one, and I need to sit down with the pattern and the yarn and figure that out. Because since I bought it at Fiber Christmas in 21, I don't feel like trying to buy more of it would, I mean, it's all hand-dyed yarn, so the dye lots could be very different. I just don't know. So there's that one. There's the sweater quantities that I bought this summer at Fiber Christmas, like the dark charcoal gray with the sparkle. I feel like I would love to do something with that. So some of it is having additional yarns and totally wanting to use those. Some of it is patterns that have come out and like really inspired me, but I'll do a whole episode on my Make 9 at some point, probably end of December, beginning of January sometime. So I'll do all that, and then let me know how you feel about like the year in review type episodes, because I think I really enjoyed doing that last time, and probably I will do it again this time, even if it's just for me. Going through the things I knit this year, how they fit, how they've worn, and what I did or didn't like about them after having them for a period of time. So probably going to do that in December sometime. My other dog is barking outside now. Delightful. But anyway, a lot to do today, so I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for stopping by, and I would love to hear what you're working on in the comments. Like I've said before, feel free to message me on Instagram, leave a comment here, give a thumbs up to the video, and thank you so much for joining me today.